I was Bigfoot, that's where I'd be, right up there.
Where I could see everybody. My cousin has got growled up there several times.
He has? So there has been activity up here on this mountain?
Yeah, he's been growled at up there.
And down below the mountain too, right?
Yeah. And then the other guys had a lot of stuff happen over on the other side.
I'll try something else right quick.
What's that? All right, he gonna do a howl, brother. Gary's gonna do a howl.
No.
They're gonna hurt them. They may finally get ticked off.
Right, from disturbing the peace. Now, what kind of howl is it gonna be? What's the origin of that vocalization, Gary?
My son can't recorded it
Your
on
son?
my place.
Your son recorded it at your house?
Yeah.
I'll be dang. Well, it's crazy sounding, but it's not very loud. Now, if you could take that somehow and put it on a loudspeaker and blast it all around here, that might do it. So you got Bigfoot activity at your house too, Brother Gary? Is that what you're saying? Oh, man.
2 daylight and 3 nighttime sightings right there. I have them come up and slap the house where I'm at, right at my head.
Really?
Yeah. My son-in-law's 6'2". I'm living in my travel trailer. My son-in-law's 6'2", and he can't reach as high as my bed is inside.
Mm-hmm.
And they come up every once in a while and slap that up there right at my head just to let me know they're there.
Wow.
They've left me glyphs. I've got prints from there on the place. We found a blind where they run deer and hogs through and catch them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Extras.
Seen them blinds before on Creepy Mountain.
Now, how many times have they been seen at your property, Brother
I've
Gary?
had 2 daylight sightings and 3 nighttime sightings.
That's yourself. What about
Myself.
your son?
Myself.
Has your son seen these things too?
No, he's heard them.
He's heard them?
Yeah. There's a 12-foot brush pile. My son and daughter-in-law was down at the backside camping, and she set up a bucket for a porta potty.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 12-foot brush pile right behind her. After they left, I went down there and found where a set of 18-inch tracks where it was standing at that brush pile looking over at her.
Wow.
And looking at the tent. And that night, they had rocks and hickory nuts thrown at the tent sideways. They didn't come from above. They came sideways into the tent.
Yeah.
They packed up and left in the middle of the night.
Now, your daylight sightings, brother, what did these things look like?
All I saw was the heads.
The heads? What did their
they
heads look
were-
like?
One of them that was behind a privacy fence. And I seen the head sticking up, and it went, as soon as I saw it, he seen it, I was looking at it, he dropped. He was watching my grandchildren play.
Mm-hmm.
My son-in-law went around there, and like I said, he's 6'2". Reached up, and I could not see his hand because the ground slopes behind that fence. The next time was up at my house. That was at their house.
So this thing had to be like 8 or 9 to 10 foot tall,
Yeah,
right?
he's about an 8-foot juvenile. The next time I saw it, he was behind an 8-foot brush pile, and the head was sticking up, and I looked up and seen him. He's about 50 yards from me, and he just, when I seen me looking at him, he dropped. He's watching my grandkids play. They love watching the grandkids play out in the yard.
That's scary.
No, it's not scary at all.
Did the face look human, or did it look like
It looked like a
ape,
big black basketball sitting there. I can describe it to the T, all but the actual eyes and mouth, because it's too far away for me to see it.
All right, describe it to the T for us, brother.
It looked like a big old hairy black basketball standing right there looking above the brush pile.
Wow, round head, big round head.
No cone, it was a round head. And like I said, he was too far away, I couldn't see his eyes. He had hair right in here, and I didn't see any hair, but the rest of the face was covered with hair that I could see. He was just, as soon as he seen me looking that way, he went out of sight.
Now, did he make any noise when he went out of sight?
Not a sound. He just dropped down behind the brush pile, and then went down through the woods.
Right.
We trailed one, a set of 15-inch tracks, over 150 yards up into the woods. We came to the fence. We found where he went over the fence. We didn't go any farther. I got permission to be over there, but I wasn't going to trail him any farther through the woods.
Yeah.
The next time I went down there, there was a tree that's at least 12 inches in diameter that we put up, as we went up the creek, we put our hands on it to balance ourselves. Next time I went down there, that tree was leaning over against another tree.
Wow.
I've got pictures of a tree from 12 to 14 foot tall. Every limb all the way around is stripped. Some of them were laying in the tree, some of them were in X form, some of them were laying on the ground underneath it. Above 14 foot, nothing. Below 12 foot, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know why he did it. He was mad.
Why? Why was he
Because
mad?
they were putting in that marijuana grow right next door to me. And he didn't like it. I
Well.
walked down there and I told him flat out. I said, hey, I was putting up a barbed wire fence too. I said, this fence is not to keep you out, it's to keep the cows out. You're welcome to come on my property anytime. And they do. They come over on my property whenever they want.
So you,
I give them fish. All my fish leavings I put down there.
Yeah.
If I lose a stringer full of fish, I put it down there. They come get them.
So the type that you're interacting with at your place, now where do you live? What state?
South central Oklahoma.
South Central Oklahoma. So the ones where you live are friendly.
Yes. They've protected me all my life. All my life they have protected me there.
Like how? How do they protect you? Keep you from getting hurt or?
Yeah, I mean, I go out in the woods. My kids used to just go out and wander through the woods. You don't think what we got bears, we got mountain lions.
Mm-hmm.
My son-in-law here a while back stared down a mountain lion right out there 50 yards from him. Just stared it down. My kids have never been hurt back there.
Yeah.
Never. They could go wander through the woods all they wanted. I've been out in them woods totally knowers.
Yeah.
Thinks I'm crazy.
So you got a story and all the knowers think you're crazy?
Yes, because a lot of people don't believe they are spiritual.
Yeah.
I know they're spiritual.
Mm-hmm. How do you know?
Because they have prayed with me.
Yeah.
And I talk to them every morning. I walk out and talk to them.
And do they talk back to you?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mind speak or
Mine speak.
have they ever
I'm
said
just
anything?
learning to understand it when it's them. But I am learning. I'm finally learning when it's them talking to me.
Now, when they pray with you,
They saved my life. If it hadn't have been for them praying with me, I would have had a heart attack and died.
really,
Yes.
and they had no
Because-
problem saying the name of Jesus.
Satan was causing me to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it did mess me up. About 6 months later, I did have a heart attack. But
Yeah.
where I was located at that time, I would not have lived through it.
So what did they do to?
They prayed
save
with
you.
me, and finally, several times I said, in the name of Jesus, I command you to leave. And it wouldn't leave. It just kept pushing and pushing. My chest felt like it was going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
But I could feel their presence praying with me.
Yeah.
And finally, I said, Satan, in the name of Jesus, I command you to leave and not come back. Instantly, the pressure on my chest was gone. Everything just calmed right down. I had somebody on the phone praying with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling the whole story. I will not tell the whole story.
You just say what you feel comfortable saying, brother.
There
We
was
appreciate what you're saying.
4, 7, 11 things praying along with myself and the person on the phone.
Yeah.
And nobody will ever convince me otherwise.
Right.
But because of this story, I've never told it, but there's a few people.
Mm-hmm.
Because Some of my best friends say I'm crazy because I told them this, and they're supposedly knowers.
I don't think
Well,
you are.
I know you're not crazy, Brother Gary. You're one fine, upstanding man.
That
I know that for a fact.
is I will never, never change my mind on that. I firmly believe it was them that saved my life.
Yeah.
Because too many times I've been out in the woods and they would tell me don't go there.
Really.
And
So
sure
now,
enough, I would turn around and leave.
do you believe there might be two different kinds of these things?
I
One
know there are.
friendly.
There's more than two different kinds.
More than
They're
two?
just like us. We're several races.
Mhm.
We're good and bad. They are the same way. There are several races or species, whatever you want to call them. There's good and bad.
Right.
I had a stranger come through here a while back, earlier this spring. My sister and I was standing out in the yard, and we heard this couldn't figure out what it was. I stepped around the side of the barn, and here's this limb just slowly coming down, 30 foot up in the tree.
Really.
When it hit the tree, the limb below it, it just shook like crazy, and there was no wind whatsoever. I walked around there. It was behind my barn in the back of my yard. I walked around there, and I could not see anything. I don't know what it was. I'm not saying what it was.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is what happened.
Right.
There's no way this limb could have fell out of that tree because it was hung on the limb below it. And there's no way that limb would have broke and just fell like that without something pulling on it. The next day, that limb was laying in the yard.
Wow.
It had been thrown, not under the tree, out to the side of the tree. It had been thrown out the side of the tree. The base of that limb, what was broke off, is about 6 inches in diameter. And it's about 15 foot long, just covered with branches.
It would take a lot of strength to break that, superhuman strength. Have you ever had any experiences with these bad types, brother?
Not the bad, well, not what I call aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 77, early 77, there's a place called Egypt Bridge back home. It's got half rails on it. Everybody go out there and walk those rails. I had a canopy on the truck that was a foot above the cab. Had a 72 Ford F100. Had a 360 with an automatic transmission. And it would run. We were out there and we started to leave. I'd showing off for the girls. There was me and another guy and two girls. I was a young teenager, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We started to leave after I walked the rail. And I said, y'all go ahead and get in. I'll be there in a minute. I got to take care of business. I stopped the back truck, took care of business, and went around to the driver's door and started to get in. I felt something brush my shoulder. I turned around and looked. There wasn't nothing there. So I got in and we started down the road, and I saw what I thought was headlights behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they disappeared. I said, wait a minute, there's nowhere for a car to go back there. They have to come down this road. Nowhere to turn off. So I stopped to make sure everything was going to be all right and they didn't have a wreck or something, you know. About that time, something took that truck and just started taking it side to side. Literally
Really?
side to side. I thought the wheels was going to come off the ground. It was so violent.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it scared us. It scared them half to death. They were screaming and everything else. And it scared me, but the reason it scared me was because I thought they were going to turn my truck over.
Yeah.
I looked in both side view mirrors and couldn't see a thing. Not a thing. So I started the truck and I took off. I had it floored, taken off.
Yeah.
Over the sound of us talking, the radio, we could hear coming down the road behind us.
Wow.
And
But
I
you
was
could
going
not
over
see
50
it.
miles.
So do you think it was Bigfoot in
I don't
its
know what it was.
invisible state that they call cloaking? Now,
No, I don't think it's that. This
So-
was in the dark. I couldn't see it if I wanted to.
so it was just something black.
I didn't see it. It had a hand on it. I'm assuming it had a hand on each side of the camper doing
Oh,
this.
okay.
I could not see it through the
Yeah,
camper.
right. You wouldn't be able to see it through the rearview mirrors like that.
No, and I couldn't see anything down the side view mirror. All I know is that truck was, I was afraid that truck was going to turn over, and we could hear the footsteps over us talking.
Right now,
That is the only time I would consider being aggressive, and I don't think he's aggressive. I think he's just mad at me because I took care of business behind the truck on his territory.
oh my goodness. Well, when you said he brushed your shoulder, but
I
you
don't know if
couldn't
it's
see
him.
him.
I don't know what it was. There was nothing behind me, but something felt like a butterfly brushed my shoulder. And there was nothing behind me because I turned and looked. I don't know what it was. I have no idea what it was.
Well, if you know my story, you know I've encountered these things in invisible state before. So, you know, that could have been him standing right behind you. You would never even seen him.
Right. The only time that I can say 100% sure what it was the 7 sightings I've got. 2 daylight and 5 nighttime.
Yeah.
That's the only time. And a lot of people say I can't say that those nighttime sightings, that's what it was, because all we saw was a black silhouette.
Yeah.
But an 8-foot black silhouette standing there looking at you. What are you going to think it is?
Right. Not much it could be, right?
Right.
So, no, never seen any glowing eyes or anything like on these creatures?
Yeah, I did. My son did.
He saw one of them with glowing
the same
eyes?
night that 2 of my sightings occurred.
Yeah.
He saw eye shine off up in the woods. We were camping. He saw eye shine up in the woods. Later that night, I saw it standing in the trail going to the river. A little bit later, we saw it. We thought it was a stump,
Mm-hmm.
but then all of a sudden it took off. I
Oh,
knew it was
wow.
a stump.
Now, around your property, Gary, have you ever seen any orbs or anything like that? No strange lights or anything like that?
Now, I've heard my name called in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where it come from. I have no idea.
From inside your house?
I'd
or
be
out?
asleep in my bed and it woke me up. Something calling my name.
Wow.
And I call them spirits. I don't know what they are, but inside my house, I'd be sitting there, and out of the corner of my eye, there'd be a black flash go across the wall. And there's no windows, so it's not a light.
Yeah.
Next time, it might be a white flash. I don't know what they are. I call them spirits.
Yeah. So you do have other problems inside your
It ain't
house?
problems. There's no problem.
Sightings or
Yeah.
whatever, experiences.
I just call them spirits.
Yeah.
My daughter, when they moved in, she went around, an old Indian gave her a chant, and she went around in the house and then around the whole property, or the whole yard, not the whole property, but the whole yard, sprinkling salt, doing that chant, and we've never seen them since.
Well, that's good. It's good that you don't have problems inside your house, because...
No. And the big man, I call him the big man, the alpha, they've never given me any problems. I don't ever talk about them, and now I am, so I may start having problems.
No. They ever take any of your chickens or animals or anything like that,
No,
Gary?
they've never bothered my animals. When my parents owned the place, before I bought it from them, my mom would plant 2 gardens. One for them and us, and one for them. And I would put out my fish leavings and everything. And you can tell when they get it or when the animals get it.
Yeah.
When they get it, there is nothing left. The next morning, nothing. If the regular animals get it, there'll be bones and fish heads and skin and everything left.
Yeah.
But if they come get it, there is nothing left. And there ain't no animal going to come down there and carry off 25 fish heads and carcasses.
Right. Yeah. That's highly unlikely. Well, so you're having ongoing experiences with these things at your house in Oklahoma and your property even to this day?
Oh, yeah. I've got footprints I just found 3 months ago in my yard. Pictures of them.
Wow.
I found I don't know what you call it. He was letting me know they were back. They had been gone. It was a real dry year earlier this spring. The ponds had stagnated. The rivers were real low. And we got some rain, and then I found a bunch of nuts, hickory nuts and acorns, kind of in a pile with a couple sticks laid across it.
Yeah.
Right next to my truck, which wasn't there 2 hours earlier. And that was during the daytime.
Yeah.
What other animal is going to carry that and pile it right next to my truck?
No, none. No other animal would do that I
I've
can
got
think of.
pictures galore. I don't ever show them. I don't ever tell anybody. You're
Well,
the third person that has videoed me telling this story.
well, I'm honored that you let me do that, Brother Gary. Now, why don't you ever show your pictures?
Because everybody says it's AI or whatever you call it. They're fake.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one that I showed y'all. I showed y'all that picture. It's clear as a bell. You can see his face in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else says, that's pareidolia. But it's clear as a bell. You can see his face.
Well, these videos, Brother Gary, aren't for the people who don't believe.
It's for the believers.
It's for the people who believe what you're saying and know that it's true. And there's thousands of us out here. And I think all the rest should listen to the thousands of witnesses that have experiences with these inhumanoid creatures.
I have a lot more that I haven't told you. I've had twice I've had my tent messed with while I was camping.
Yeah?
Yeah, we were at the Bigfoot Festival and camping up in the mountains and had one pick up something, put it this way, something picked up the tent and turned it.
With y'all inside it?
With us in
Oh, my goodness.
And I was dating this girl at the time. We both set up, and she just said, "Bigfoot, leave me alone, I'm sleeping." And we laid back down and went back to sleep. The next morning, we found 15-inch tracks behind the tent. My son and another guy that is very reputable in the Bigfoot community, but I am not naming names, followed it they tracked it 150 yards down into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
But right behind the tent, you can see the 15-inch impressions. Second time I was in northeastern Oklahoma camping, and something come up, and you know how you can see the shadow of a body outside your tent?
Yeah.
I woke up in the middle of the night, and I seen this huge figure right there by my head, and it was rubbing its foot back and forth on the tent, 2 inches from my head. I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought it was my son.
Yeah.
Jacking with me. Well, the next morning I asked him, I said, "Were you down at my tent last night?" He said, "What time?" I said, 1:33 in the morning. He didn't say a word. He pulled out his phone and started pulling up pictures. He pulled up a picture and it was stamped 1:33. Actually 1:30, I'm sorry. And it was from up in the middle of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
He said he had been sitting in his chair at camp. He sleeps in his chair when the weather's good.
Yeah.
And something knocked up in the woods. So he headed up in the woods to investigate, and he got way up in there. And he was way up in the woods when this happened. He went in pure shock when I told him what time. And he showed me the pictures that he had took up in the woods, and the timestamp on them was from 1:15 to 2:15. He had been up in the woods for an hour.
Now, what did the pictures show?
He had one was a big old pile of rocks. Another one was a big old pile of squirrel bones and hides, where they'd piled up a big pile of something that ate a bunch of squirrels and piled it up. It wasn't scattered out like a coyote or something would. They were in a pile, and nothing was touching them. And then there was several others, and we started looking, and we found a 15-inch track, just a little bit of, about 50 yards from my tent.
Yeah.
Off up in there. Now this is in a campground, full of other campers.
Now, where was the campground at?
It's up south, up by Salisal, Oklahoma. I'm not going to say where.
Right, that's good. It's close enough. Salisal, Oklahoma.
Yeah, up by there.
Well, thanks for sharing your experience with us, brother. I really appreciate it. It's an honor that you did that.
I've got a lot more that I'm not telling right now.
Yeah.
One of these days, maybe I'll tell you.
Well, if you ever do decide, brother, to tell the world, you just let me know, and
the main point
we'll get you back on here.
They are not all bad. They are just like us. There's bad and there's good. And I've been around a good family all my life. I know other people that clan, whatever you want to call them. I know other people that's been around the good ones all their lives, that's helped protect them all their lives. I grew up with these things. I'm not scared of them. Now, one of these days, I might run into one that I'm scared of.
Yeah.
But if they want you, there is no house wall going to stop them. There is no car door going to stop them. They're going to get you.
Right.
You can't stop them unless you shoot them right square in the eye. I believe that that'd be the only way to kill one is to shoot it in the eye.
Like
I
Joe
carry
Barton
when I go
did.
anywhere, but they know that I'm not carrying for them.
Right.
I'm carrying for hogs and tweakers.
There you go. Well,
Oh, down there where we camp, it's full of tweakers.
yeah, you always got to be prepared to defend yourself against those type of people there.
We've had them come up and camp on us. I go to camping with Tex Wesson a lot,
Mhm.
and we were camping down there, and he tells that story of that tweaker that come up into camp, and he tells it good.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Brother Gary. We appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. I know all the people that's going to watch this video will appreciate it too. And I wouldn't worry about no repercussions from these creatures.
Oh, I'm not worried about the
Because
creatures.
They're not going to be mad at you, brother, because it's time finally for these things to be known, and they know it's time. So
They'll just if the big man and his clan get upset with me, they'll just quit coming around.
yeah,
Pure and simple. They won't have nothing to do with me anymore. But I honestly don't believe that. Being as I respect them, I don't think they will mind that, because we're trying to prove that they're not bad.
yeah.
We're trying to help them.
Well, I don't think they'll mind people knowing that at all. Do you?
I'm hoping not.
All right. Well, thanks,
Because
brother.
they are not all bad. There is bad ones. I'm not saying there's not.
Yeah. Well, I know I've experienced the bad ones. I've never experienced the good ones, but I want people to hear both sides of it,
There
because
is a lot of stories. If people will investigate, there is a lot of stories out there
Mhm.
of Sasquatch saving lives and helping people.
I've heard a lot.
Yeah, I've heard some of them myself.
We've had a lot of them reported to us, but nobody believes it when they hear it, because we've got people out there that say they're all bad. There's one guy that does a podcast, and if you tell him a good story, he kicks it back and hunts for bad stories.
Yeah.
That's all he will post is bad stories.
Well, that's not very scientific. So you'll see this one will be up online for people to watch and view and hear your side of the story.
If I didn't,
And you'll
trust
know
you,
that I'm
Barton, I
not
wouldn't
one of
have
those
known.
people. Well, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for sharing it with everybody. And if you ever want to come on the show or something, you let me know. All right.
I probably won't, because I don't have good enough internet to come on the show.
Well,
I might tell you some more stories and let you
Sure.
post them, but
well, I'd be happy to.
I don't have good enough internet for that.
Right. Well, that's all right, brother. Thanks for what you've done already. I sure appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Thank you for what you do.
And thank you, Brother Mark,
Oh yes, yes,
for what you've done.
oh yes.
Appreciate you. I'm standing here. Look at this beautiful, beautiful scenery.
Yeah, I got a good picture of that.
Yeah, you see the quarries lighting up.
Yeah. Just absolutely gorgeous.